We've got cold air sliding into the Dakotas in Minnesota just in time for Thanksgiving. How cold will it get? Will it stick around? And will there be any snow involved? Check out the rest of the video to find out. But first, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. And when you do, make sure you hit the bell button as well. That way you'll be notified when I've uploaded another video just like this. And also hit the like button as well. That would do me a lot of favors. And if you haven't done so already, hey, comment down below. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. That's always kind of neat to see. I haven't done that for a while. So leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Well, we started off the week here on Monday with this cold front that's been sweeping through our region. Out ahead of it, we've had some southerly winds, and on the backside, some gusty west-northwest winds, gusting 35, 40 miles per hour, even stronger down on the Black Hills, as I'll show you here in a bit. And then out ahead of this front, we've got some rain showers. We're not really expecting much for snow until late tonight into Tuesday morning out in the Arrowhead region. We'll take a little bit closer look at that in a moment. And further south, we've had this big system that's been pulling in all this moisture, bringing in some rain down in the southeastern parts of Minnesota as well, and also causing some severe weather down along the Gulf states today. Plenty of tornado watches and tornado warnings going on throughout the day. But again, back in our region, just windy conditions, some rain, and as I said, down here in Rapid City, we've had some of these areas that had reports of 56, 54, 53 miles per hour as the winds come up and over the hills and then rush back down into more of the valley or those lower elevations. And that's why we see some of these stronger gusts just on the lee side of the hills. And so we've had this cold front move through. But now the crazy thing is, as we get into Tuesday and a little bit into Wednesday as well, look at this. We've got a reinforcement of some warm air building back into our area. But don't let that fool you, because up here in the north, we've got plenty more cold air that's going to be sagging southward going into Wednesday night and into Thursday, and more so as we get into Friday as well. Some of that real cold air begins to dive on south into our region. Now, of course, the good news with all this, there's no snow on the ground. Nobody's got any snow. So, of course, that's really going to limit how cold these temperatures will get, thankfully. And so the temperature forecast through Thanksgiving week looks a little something like this. For Tuesday morning, we're going to start off with low temperatures, generally in the 20s, some warmer temperatures down here in the southeastern parts of Minnesota. And of course, with those temperatures cooling off here Monday night going into Tuesday morning, some of that rain that's been spreading from northwest to southeast across Minnesota could change over to a little bit of snow up into the northeastern parts of Minnesota into the overnight hours, and by about 6, 7 a.m. or so, you know, it looks like generally most of the precipitation should be dissipating. So while we're looking at the possibility of some light snow, perhaps even some freezing rain, it's really not going to last long, and we're really not expecting much in the way of any type of accumulation, ice-wise or snow. Your Tuesday highs won't be that bad, but because we did have that cold front move through, some of you across the North Country might be struggling to get above freezing on Tuesday. Wednesday morning lows, again, generally in the 20s, maybe just a little bit warmer out in western parts of the Dakotas. And of course, mind you, that's because some of that warmer air is kind of moving in going into Wednesday. So those morning lows will be just a tad warmer in the western Dakotas. And also because of that, look at these high temperatures into South Dakota. We're generally looking in the 60s, at the very least the 50s across South Dakota, 50s across southern parts of Minnesota, and as you get further to the north across northern parts of North Dakota and Minnesota, we're going to be close to that freezing mark. But I think for the most part, everybody will get above that mark for Wednesday. But boy, by Thursday morning, Turkey Day, man, we're going to be freezing our giblets off, because look at this. Our low temperatures Thursday morning in the single digits across the north as we get to the south teens to near 20 starting off the day for Thursday. And those high temperatures throughout the day, of course, not getting a whole lot better. Most areas are going to be struggling to get above freezing. We can see highs only in the teens across the far north. Maybe the warmest areas are going to be down in the far southeastern parts of Minnesota, far southeast parts of South Dakota, where maybe you'll be getting into the mid to upper 30s, but elsewhere, it's going to be a great day just to sit indoors and be watching football and stuff in your face. Now, one other thing to keep in mind for those of you across western parts of South Dakota for your Thanksgiving Day, we have the possibility of some snow moving into just the far western parts of South Dakota. kind of starting off in the northwestern part of the state and then sliding southward throughout the day. And as we get into the evening hours, a little more snow accumulations in the higher elevations of the Black Hills, possibly down in the southwestern parts of South Dakota as well. And then as we get a little more so into Friday morning, this is about 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, just kind of continuing. Very light at that, not expecting a whole lot in the way of accumulation, but just some lingering light snow throughout the day Thursday and going into Friday as well. Now, while we're looking at possibly a couple of days of some light snow, we might see some accumulations down in the southwestern parts of South Dakota, where we could be picking up around 2 to maybe some 3 inches down in the far southwestern parts of the state. Of course, in the higher elevations of the Black Hills, you might see somewhere in the order of 4 to 6 inches up in some of those higher elevations. But all in all, we're not looking at any major snowmaker. We're just looking at a couple of days of some light nuisance snow that will just gradually accumulate. Nothing too significant, but just something to keep an eye on for your Thanksgiving Day and your Black Friday. Black Friday morning, if you're out and about early, those temperatures to start off the day are going to be cold once again, generally in the teens, maybe even the single digits down here in southwestern parts of South Dakota to start off the day on Friday. Now, some of these areas into Friday are going to rebound just a little bit, where these high temperatures are going to be getting into the mid to upper 30s, maybe a 40-degree mark around the Pier area. But then as you look a little bit to the south and west, remember where we saw some of those cold temperatures down in the southwestern parts of South Dakota, where we're going to be struggling to get above freezing. And of course, the northern half of Minnesota, northern parts of North Dakota also probably going to be at freezing or just a little below for your high temperatures. All right, as we take a look at the temperatures throughout the remainder of the week, then as we get into Saturday morning, again, those low temperatures starting off in the teens to around 20. Coldest temperatures are probably going to be down in that southwestern parts of South Dakota, especially if we get some snowfall down there. We're probably looking at some of those low temperatures around 10 degrees or so. Saturday's highs, again, we're going to be struggling to get above freezing for the northern half of our region. The southern half, we're going to be looking at those highs in the mid-30s to around 40. And of course, if we do get some snow again down in the southwest part of the state, we might be struggling to get above freezing down there as well. Sunday morning lows, generally in the teens with some single digits here and there. And your afternoon high temperatures for Sunday, again, struggling to get above freezing for the north. Some 30s to around 40 across parts of South Dakota, and probably going to be struggling to get above freezing down in southwestern parts of South Dakota once again. All right, so there's our temperatures going on into the weekend. Of course, there you can see those cold temperatures into the weekend and beginning part of next week. Now, we will have just a little bit of a rebound as we get into Tuesday, possibly Wednesday as well, particularly down in the southwestern parts of our region, right and through here. Those northeastern areas will rebound just a little bit and react to that as well. But of course, those of you down in the southwest will see a little more of a bump in temperatures than some of us up in the northeast. But nevertheless, we will see some temperatures getting a little bit warmer as we get into the week next week. But I think we've kind of hit that point in the season where it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. We're going to see some temperatures warm up. We're going to see another little bit of reinforcement of cold air in some of our region. And then we're going to see a bit of a warm up again. And then we're going to get another blast of cold air more than likely. So of course, we're in that part. We're in November. We don't have a lot of snow on the ground, but nevertheless, we're going to have some little bit of warmer days. We're going to have a little bit of colder days. Big surprise, right? We live in the North Country. That's what's going to happen. But the good news is that polar vortex air, that really, really cold air way, way up north, ultimately just kind of stays up there. It stays well to our north as we take this timeline and push it through. We can see we get little branches that kind of break off, but ultimately it's not the true Arctic air. It's not that true polar vortex, that really, really chilly stuff that makes its way into our area. That remains well to our north and into Greenland and way up into the North Pole. So we're not looking at least at that really, really cold stuff dropping into our area anytime soon. Now, we will be under the influence of this split type of pattern where the jet stream, we have this jet stream further down to the south and the polar jet stream here, we're moving through our area. And like I said, we're going to be seeing those days, those fluctuating days, a little warmer and a little colder And as you can see, basically, there's our colder days. And then, of course, when that jet stream kind of moves across our area, it allows some of those warmer temperatures back into our region. Then we get a little bit of warmer, we get a little bit of a dip, and then it gets warmer and we get a dip. But one thing you notice is that this southern jet stream ultimately really doesn't dive and then push into our area at all. So what that means is while we could have some small snowmakers here and there as the temperatures warm up and then cool down, and that's just the nature of things, right? As we have that differential heating and cooling throughout the time period that creates some of these, the lift and causes snow to fall. But what we won't be seeing is these big, large storms move through our region because all the good, moist, warm energy remains south. So we're just kind of stuck with a little bit of snowmakers here and there, but at least we're not looking at any big storms coming our way anytime soon, the way things are looking right now. So it looks like our El Nino winter is basically behaving the way we thought it would, right? We're looking at those temperatures at average to slightly above average. We're looking at below average precipitation, especially when it comes to snow. And that's kind of what we're getting. That's what we're seeing. And it's looking like that's going to be kind of the pattern, at least throughout the foreseeable future right now. So guys, it's looking like we're going to be having perhaps a brown Christmas. We'll see. Wouldn't exactly complain very much about that. I don't think a lot of you would either, except for those of you who might be one of those who enjoy the snow and take the snowmobile out and ski. You might not get a whole lot of that this winter. Oh well, but we'll see. We've got a whole lot of winter left, and all it takes is just one big storm, and we're going to be socked in. So we'll just have to wait and see what the rest of the winter brings. All right, everybody. For Region Weather Live, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner. Everybody, have a good day.